Alright, what's happening, y'all? Hey, man, I just recorded the video, and I don't know why, but the file corrupted, so I'm re-recording the entire thing off the dome. We about to get to it. We have to review this burgundy and gold loss against the Seattle Seahawks, man. We have to review the game. We have to talk about this quarterback controversy. We have to talk about this potential playoff push and the future of this franchise. We're going to talk about all of that. And all of it revolves around this game. And just like y'all been seeing, man, y'all gotta go get y'all one of these cups, bro. For real, bro. They customized this themselves, man. I didn't even give an idea. I didn't have any input on this. They made this for me. Mama's Boy, Street Scores ATL, Twitter handle on the side. We got Aja the Fluffy. We got Brody the Fluffy on the bottom. Logo right on the side, man. Straw, safe, protected for everybody that's a germaphobe like me and my mom. Y'all gotta go get one of these, man. It's a nice, sturdy, great material cup, bruh. And this is the link right here. Taza's by LK. I thought it was Taza's Shy LK, but no, it's Taza, plural with the S at the end, by LK. Make sure y'all go follow them on Instagram and get yourselves one of these cups, bro. They fire for real. But without further ado, let's get to it. Let's get it. Alright, before we get to the quarterbacks, because that's going to be the bulk of this review, just wanted to say shouts out to the defense for doing what they could without their two best linebackers. I dare any defense in this league to lose their two best linebackers, the most talented, the most athletic linebackers, and still find a way to only hold the Seahawks to 20 points. I dare any defense to do it. Not saying nobody else can do it, but I mean, this was an impressive game for them. This is a resilient game for them. There's a reason they didn't look historically great like they looked against the 49ers and Steelers, man. They were just bend but don't break today. They had that one long touchdown run. Other than that, the defense played pretty solid. And I walked into this game knowing the defense wouldn't be as good, because that's what happens when you lose your two best linebackers, and technically maybe arguably your third, and Sean Hamilton, who also got hurt during the game. He was announced out immediately, so that's not a good look. He's probably going to be out for some time, maybe even for the rest of the season, for them just to declare him out immediately. There was no questionable return. There was no questionable to return. There was no doubt for the return. It was just Sean Hamilton is out for the rest of the game immediately. The first update we heard of it. The defense was bend but don't break today, forcing the Seahawks to kick field goals on some pretty long extended drives. So the defense didn't necessarily have a great game, but they held their own, you know what I'm saying? And then special teams has to get better. I mean, Tressway is a baller. I like the fact that Khalid Hudson is starting to merge, not only in special teams, but on the field. That's sometimes where the blessing in disguise with injuries. Khalid Hudson was able to actually get real playing time and made some impacts on the field, both on defense and in special teams. But the return game has to get way better. There's no reason we're never flipping field position like other teams' special teams do. Today, even as bad as Dwayne Haskins was the first three quarters, he also had the odds stacked against him because he had to start from like his own 25 almost every possession. 25 or worse. The special teams provided no spark, and then making it worse was the fact that the defense was bend but don't break. So they were giving up a lot of yards. They just at the end of the day didn't give up a lot of points. So the Seahawks would either score a field goal or kick a punt deep in the burgundy and gold territory, and Haskins was basically having to construct 75-yard drives to score touchdowns. So the special teams has to get better, man. Steven Sims looked like he may have been it last year, but he's not it right now. We need somebody that can flip field position in the return game, not just in the kicking game or the defense, because today was just one of those not elite defensive days from our defense, and you can't expect them to play at that level that they played against the Steelers and especially the 49ers every game. That's just not a thing. No defense does. You can hope to come as close to that as possible. You can hope to recreate it as often as possible, but it's not going to happen every game. Injuries happen. Teams may just game plan better. Some teams may be just built better to counter our defense. And that's why I feel like we need elevated quarterback play that may not be on this roster currently, because our defense is not going to be able to bail us out all the way to a Super Bowl victory. But we'll get into the quarterbacks a little later. I love the fact that our edge rushers still have a great habit of batting the ball down or up in the air. Montez Sweat did it, allowed Deron Payne to get a nice interception. That was one of the very few times that we had good starting field position in all game. And if you really think about it, Russell Wilson had some Russell Wilson moments, but overall, Russell Wilson didn't just have this spectacular particular game, our defense did a fairly decent job at limiting him and DK Metcalf. Our secondary looked pretty good today. We were struggling against the run, but overall our defense played pretty decent, and our special teams has to improve mightily. And our offense looked good for 3.5 quarters, literally until that last drive where they sold us out. Davis Sharp got beat repeatedly while Morgan Moses was out. And then Morgan Moses came back in, and I guess that injury was hurting him a little bit more than we expected because he got beat as soon as he came back in. I mean, they just started killing our offensive line from the right side as soon as Morgan Moses got hurt. So overall, I don't want people to think our offensive line is terrible because of that last drive. They actually played well the first 3.5 quarters, but that last drive after Morgan Moses got hurt, the floodgates just opened. It was bad. I feel so bad for Dwayne Haskins. He started building momentum, and then the offensive line just sold us out. Also, we have to talk about the fact that Dustin Hopkins, if he didn't miss that extra point, we never would have went for that other 2-point conversion, which I'm going to also talk about later. So it would have just been 20-17 entering that last drive, that final drive, and instead of forcing it on that 4th and long, we could have just kicked the field goal to tie it up and go into overtime and possibly win that game. So Dustin Hopkins, there's no reason y'all here missing extra points, forcing us to go for 2-point conversions later in the game. It has to stop, Dustin Hopkins. We need to at least bring somebody else in here to compete with Dustin Hopkins, to put some pressure on him. If not, replace him. Something. Because this is ridiculous. He's too inconsistent. I can remember at least 3 or 4 games this year that he has personally cost us, and I consider this one of them. Again, every game, and even those 4 games that I blame him for, it's a team effort. Dwayne Haskins should have played better. Against the Giants, Kyle Allen should have played better. Alex Smith should have played better some games. But at the end of the day, you're a kicker. You can't miss extra points. Like, that's an excuse. I mean, that was just a domino effect. If we would have made that extra point right there, the next touchdown, we would have just kicked another extra point, and it would have been 20-17, and we would have just been playing for the field goal on that last drive, which we were able to do. But we had to play for touchdown, couldn't get there after the holding penalty, after the offensive line started getting dismantled from the right side from Morgan Moses' injury, and Dwayne Haskins couldn't do anything with that. There's no quarterback in the league that could have done anything with the right side of the offensive line collapsing like that. Again, we're going to talk about quarterbacks a little later. Man, big shouts out to Logan Thomas. 13 receptions for 101 yards. Come on now. Come on now. He's really emerging. I appreciate the fact that Scott Turner is scheming him open. Because Logan Thomas is not fast. He's not a great route runner. He's not able to get himself open. This is Scott Turner scheming him open. Now, Scott Turner regressed in his play calling because this was a bad day for him. This was a very high and low, inconsistent day for him. But at least he got Logan Thomas and J.D. McKissic involved per usual, as he's been progressively doing week by week. But overall, this was a bad game from Scott Turner. This definitely wasn't as good as the Steelers and 49ers games as far as play calling goes. And I don't understand why he doesn't just call what he calls for Alex Smith. We saw Dwayne Haskins run the Alex Smith offense in the 4th quarter, and it was great. But again, we're going to get to that a little later. And also, before we get to the quarterbacks, I just want to talk about how this team shows some grit. They never give up. It doesn't matter how far we're down. Now, of course, like, we need to fix the fact that we're just down 13-0 against the Seahawks, down 14-0 against the Steelers. That has to stop. Can't win come from behind games all the time. It's just not going to happen. Like, this was the 10th time this season we have fallen behind by double digits. But at least in the last 5, we've rallied and given ourselves a chance to win with comebacks. But that's not a consistent winning method. And this just proves the point that our potential franchise quarterback is just not currently on roster. At least more than likely not. These slow first halves, and for Dwayne Haskins' case, first 3 quarters, is not acceptable. This is not consistent winning football. You're not going to get away with that in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, this team shows they believe, and even if somehow we lose out for the rest of the season, lose to the Panthers, which I doubt, lose to the Eagles, which I highly doubt, this team shows that they truly believe in the culture, the system, everything that Ron Rivera wants to do, Jack Del Rio, and even kind of Scott Turner in a way. I mean, this team really believes in itself, beating the Steelers, beating the 49ers, I mean, a couple of injuries, some key injuries, and then rallying against the Seahawks. That's 2 Super Bowl contenders right there that we've played very hard against and kept those games close or won against. So this team shows that they're ready to play against anybody. They're not afraid of anybody. We're going to hit you in the mouth. We're going to play harder. We're going to play faster. And we're just going to try to beat you down and be the aggressor in these games. We're trying to dictate the pace and the mentality of these games. It's just sad that it takes till the second half to really get it going. I mean, our second half adjustments have been almost A1. But we need to get that first half right. And I feel like it falls on the quarterback's shoulders a lot, both of them, and Scott Turner. I feel like it's mostly Scott Turner, Alex Smith, and Dwayne Haskins' fault that our first halves are so bad. Because if you really think about it, against the Steelers, the 49ers, Alex Smith has not been good in first halves and then comes back the second half ready to go. And then he's able to work that little throwing to the running back, spamming, throwing to the tight ends, throwing underneath to everybody thing that Scott Turner finally gets into a rhythm of calling. The screen plays and all of that. I don't know why it takes till the second half for Scott Turner and Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins to get that going. But in Dwayne Haskins' case, the whole first half, he looked bad until that last drive running that 2-minute offense, which he excels in, which we've seen work under Kevin O'Connell. Don't know why we don't run that more with Dwayne Haskins, but hey, that's a Scott Turner thing. He started to show some promise in that last play of the second quarter, then he came back out that third quarter just looking bad again. And then he finally figured it out in the fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter, he basically did exactly what Alex Smith does. Spam throw to the running back, spam throw to the tight ends, spam throw underneath, and just take what the defense gives you, and then occasionally throw an intermediate pass when it's open, when it's usually schemed open by Scott Turner. Because a lot of those Logan Thomas catches were clearly like an offensive play call by Scott Turner. Literally designed for Logan Thomas to be open, and all Dwayne Haskins and Alex Smith for the past few games just has to hit him. But at the end of the day, from what we see from current Alex Smith, not 2018 Alex Smith, not Kansas City Chief Alex Smith, he gives you good third and fourth quarters. What we've seen from Dwayne Haskins just based off this game alone, he gives you a good fourth quarter, and that's it. Right now, neither of them are consistent enough, in my opinion, to take you all the way to the Super Bowl. And again, my whole purpose is winning a chip. Making the playoffs and losing doesn't mean much to me because, I mean, do any of y'all care about how we went to the playoffs with Kirk Cousins fairly recently against the Packers? Do any of y'all care about that? Nobody cares. If it's not at least winning some playoff games, and in my case, winning the championship, it doesn't matter to me. And I feel like none of these quarterbacks currently on our roster, especially at this state, maybe Dwayne Haskins in the future, maybe Alex Smith in the past, could win you enough games to take you to that Super Bowl and beat these elite quarterbacks that we will have to face on that road. But right now, they can't. Present day, I don't believe any of them can. But in my opinion, you at least got to see what Dwayne Haskins can give you. Because right now, Alex Smith, who's already a game manager, is even more limited because I believe that leg injury that had him looking so bad against the 49ers is going to be a lingering thing. Because after his catastrophic injury that, I mean, all praise to him, shouts out to him, deserves comeback player of the year, easily by far. There should be no argument that nobody should ever be talking about Ben Roethlisberger. It's Alex Smith easily. He surpassed all of my expectations, but at the end of the day, he's still limited. Current day Alex Smith, 2020 Alex Smith is not the same Alex Smith before that injury in 2018, and he's definitely not the Alex Smith from Kansas City. He's only getting older, so what we've seen from Alex Smith is the best we've seen from him. His best days are behind him, easily. He's only more limited, less mobile, and with his leg injury, it's harder for him to step into throws and throw deep. And even when he could throw deep, he just elected not to. He's just a very cautious player, which limits his ceiling. But, I mean, the fact that he's not mobile really limits him, and I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of him going out there getting hurt. Because what Dwayne Haskins was doing today, I never thought I'd say this, but Dwayne Haskins is more mobile than Alex Smith right now. I don't know where Dwayne Haskins gained a little bit of speed from. He's still not a Trey Lance or a Zach Wilson, but he's more mobile than I thought he would ever be. And the reason he's more mobile than Alex Smith, more than anything else, is that Alex Smith is just slower than he used to be. He's less mobile. It's not because Dwayne Haskins just drastically improved. I mean, it is a pretty big improvement because I never thought he could be that mobile. He showed some really bright mobility highlights today. I mean, not even just with speed, but shrugging potential sack guys off of him to look down the field and throw the ball. And poor Alex Smith, I mean, that new injury that he has, I'm worried about that it may not only just linger like it did into that Seahawks game, maybe even next week, but maybe even next season. Maybe his leg will just never be the same. He's definitely not the same guy from 2018 or Kansas City, and we need to make sure we notice that when we're talking about our future plans for 2021, when this team should be Super Bowl contenders, and the only reason it may not be is because of quarterback. But all in all, I feel like Dwayne Haskins should start the rest of this season, because it's like, at the very least, even if you think Haskins is terrible, at least give him a chance. Give him 2 games to show if he's good or not. At least try to increase his trade value right now, because right now his trade value is probably nil. You probably can't get anything for him, maybe a bag of Ruffles if you're lucky. But if he goes out there and balls out these last 2 games, at the very least you increase his trade value, and you never know. If somehow, which I doubt, I'm not even going to say I think it's likely because I'm a Trey Lance guy myself, even if just somehow, not necessarily a miracle, but a slight chance that he ends up looking like a potential franchise quarterback, then we can go elsewhere in the draft. But if he's as bad as a lot of y'all think he is for some weird reason, then now you officially know. As of this game, after that fourth quarter, who knows if Dwayne Haskins is bad or not? You can't say definitively that he's going to be good. You can't say definitively that he's bad because, I mean, for the first In second quarter into that last drive, he looked bad. In that third quarter, it looked pretty bad. But when Scott Turner and Dwayne Haskins decided at the same time to just basically run the exact same offense that Alex Smith runs, a whole bunch of underneath throws, Dwayne Haskins honestly looked better doing it than Alex Smith for that one quarter. The problem is, can you get that fourth quarter out of Dwayne Haskins for 4 quarters? Or can you at least get it for 2 quarters like you got out of Alex Smith these last few games? Because honestly, I mean, he literally did exactly what Alex Smith would do. Throw it to the open guys, deliver it to them in a way that they can still get some yards at the catch, which is something that Alex Smith is pretty good at. Dwayne Haskins was good at it in that fourth quarter. But there were also things Dwayne Haskins was doing in those last few minutes that Alex Smith just can't. First of all, mobility. And second of all, some of those throws. I mean, that one off the back foot throw to Steven Sims in stride with the defender starting to put hands on Dwayne Haskins. Alex Smith literally can't do that. Kyle Allen literally couldn't do that. That's a Dwayne Haskins off the back foot mega cannon arm type of throw that only he can do. So if he just runs this Alex Smith offense and then puts a little bit of him in there occasionally, we can have better quarterback play than we've been getting from anybody this season. But again, I just highly doubt that happens. I don't expect Dwayne Haskins to be what he was in that fourth quarter for a consistent 4 quarters every game for the rest of the season, potentially maybe even the playoffs. I just don't expect that. First of all, we benched him, so he hasn't really been getting better since week 4. He had to knock off the rust towards the end of the 49ers game, knock off some more rust against the Seahawks in that first half. And there's no excuses for rust. I mean, those interceptions, to me, he technically threw 3 because I'm being completely objective. He technically threw 3 because that one amazing catch from Terry McLaurin, I'm not going to lie, if the cornerback just turns his head, that's an interception. But McLaurin made a spectacular play. So I consider that a bad throw, even though it technically goes in the stat sheet as a 20-yard completion. I consider that a bad throw from Dwayne Haskins. And then those 2 interceptions that he actually threw, I'm going to have to review film on them. But either way, it looked like he started to build a little momentum running the Alex Smith offense with both interceptions. Right before he threw them, he was starting to build some momentum, get into a rhythm, doing little short passes, hitting them accurately. And then when the interceptions happened, it looked like he was basically like, all right, I'm getting into a rhythm. I'm starting to gain some chemistry. Let me try to do something Dwayne Haskins can only do. Try to throw a bomb, take a risk. And they both failed. But in that fourth quarter, he was like, all right, you know what? This trying to Dwayne Haskins it up is not working. Let me just run the Alex Smith game. And it looked really good. We were moving the ball. We put up back-to-back touchdowns. And these were good, solid drive back-to-back touchdowns. These weren't even just give me touchdowns from the defense. These were solid drives put together, back-to-back touchdowns, moving the ball down the field, converting third downs, and then putting up points. Haskins led those. But again, the problem is, can we get that fourth quarter that we just saw out of Dwayne Haskins consistently? I'm not sure. Can we at least get it for 2 quarters like we've been getting from Alex Smith? I don't know. But my thing is, we got to throw Dwayne Haskins out there to see at the very least. You never know if he might end up being a good quarterback. Again, I'm a Trey Lance guy, so I'm not saying he will be, but you just gotta see. You gotta at least try to increase his trade value, like I said earlier. At least make him look appetizing to other teams, something. Because right now, he's not worth pennies. We gotta recoup something for that first round pick if you want to move on from Haskins. And you never know. By just some stars aligning, Haskins ends up being a franchise quarterback again. I doubt it, but you never know. I know a lot of y'all's biggest priorities are playoffs, and that's why you want Alex Smith. But Alex Smith is not going to win you playoff games. And we're just going to end up throwing this season away in the back of our minds 3 years from now, just like with that Kirk Cousins run to the playoffs. Nobody cares about that. None of y'all talk about that and reflect on it like happy times. Because we went to the playoffs and lost the first game because of quarterback play. I feel like the same thing may happen to us. Because again, if the defense has a less than historical elite day, that's what's going to happen with the quarterbacks we currently have on roster. Especially Alex Smith, because we know exactly where his cap is. Dwayne Haskins is less consistent, but there's chances that he could give you higher than that. It's not likely, but there's at least a chance, and I gotta take that chance. I'm sorry. Because I'm already to the point we're trading up for Trey Lance if we have to. Like, I'm cool with it. Making the playoffs, don't make the playoffs, whatever. Trade up for a quarterback is fine. Prefer to give up the least amount of value as possible, so having a high draft pick would be nice. But at the end of the day, I see us making the playoffs because I don't think we'll lose to the Panthers. I don't think we'll lose to the Eagles, even with Dwayne Haskins only giving you 1 quarter a game, even with Alex Smith on a bad leg giving you 2 quarters a game. But at the end of the day, I just feel like it's far more beneficial long-term to start Dwayne Haskins for the last 2 games of this season. I know instant gratification, maybe Alex Smith comes back and is better on that leg than I think he will be, but even then, he still has a big limitation to his game. And in the playoffs, teams are going to literally just scheme for that and do everything they can to limit him. They're going to take away those underneath throws, dare him to beat them deep. And it's going to get ugly. I'm warning y'all now. It's going to get ugly if Alex Smith is our starting quarterback entering the playoffs. I'm warning y'all now. You heard it here first. So I say at least see what Dwayne Haskins has, and at least his arm can scare safeties to play back a little bit more, so that can open up underneath things even more, because safeties have to play back in fear of Dwayne Haskins throwing a bomb to Terry McLaurin, which is not a threat when Alex Smith is in the game. Or at least it should be, but Alex Smith actually has a little bit more arm strength than a lot of people give him credit for. He just doesn't take it himself. He just doesn't take those deep throws. I'm not sure if it's Scott Turner not allowing him to, and then when he occasionally does, he either overthrows somebody, or it's just Robert Foster not running the route correctly and slowing down for no reason. Either way, it just hasn't worked. The magic hasn't connected. But one thing I do like from Dwayne Haskins this game, not only just the mentality, shouts out to my boy Ivory pointing out that a lot of things with sports in general, not just football and especially quarterback, is confidence. And the fact that after he threw those 2 interceptions, he came back and rallied, unlike what he would have done in the past. I mean, in the past, especially earlier this season, he threw 2 interceptions. It looks like it affects him for the rest of the game. It looks like it's hung over his head and he's beating himself up. But today, he looked like, man, hey, yo, I'm better than that. Let me play better than that. And he went out and proved it. I mean, the reason I give him a B-, maybe a C+ grade for the day is because he still threw those interceptions, but that fourth quarter was an A- at least. But overall, the grade for today, I had to give him a C+, B- because those interceptions are killers. I mean, one of them was technically a punt, but still. My boy Ivory did point out to me that Haskins finally showed some grit and he fought hard. Mental toughness is a lot, and Haskins finally showed something. That's one big improvement from them first 4 games. There were things are looking bad and Haskins doesn't give up on himself or start to slouch. His body language looks bad. No, he actually stepped up and was like, this is my moment to seize. And he gave it his all this fourth quarter. And that fourth quarter from Dwayne Haskins is one of the best quarters I've seen from any quarterback this season that we've played in a burgundy and gold jersey. But again, who knows if you can ever get that consistently from Haskins beyond just 1 quarter a game. And shouts out to Alex Garcia for pointing out the fact that Dwayne Haskins had to go against bad field positioning all game. Those historically great defensive performances we got against the 49ers and the Steelers allowed Alex Smith to have way better average field position than Dwayne Haskins. So again, not an excuse, but a pure fact. Shouts out to Alex Garcia for pointing that out. Haskins had long fields all day, except for one time off of that Montez Sweat tip pass to Daron Payne interception. But this is like the first time we've seen Haskins actually just shrug off mistakes and look confident and feel like that he can actually still overcome those mistakes. And he actually went out there and almost did. But, I mean, when your defense is missing your 2 best linebackers, when your kicker can't make extra points, when your defense is playing bend but don't break defense, so your offense is always in bad field positioning or not favorable field positioning, what can you really expect? Again, not excusing Haskins, but those are the conditions he had to deal with today. And again, I don't even blame Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins for all of their troubles, because a lot of it is Scott Turner. I mean, you have to notice that we are 0-5 on 2-point conversions. Shouts out to my boy Anderman901 for pointing that out. We are 0 for 5 on 2-point conversions this season. And that's definitely more so on Scott Turner, because I don't blame Ron Rivera for going for him. We just need better play calls from Scott Turner. Now, one of them was Kyle Allen, where I don't know what that was in that Giants game. But the other 4, Scott Turner, you got to do better. That play call was bad. If you're going to run the ball, put up your big meaties and dare them to stop you. Run it in with Peyton Barber, who can give you 2 yards. Or put it in Dwayne Haskins' hands. And with how mobile he looked today, he can get you 2 yards with his legs if he has to. But you never know. Somebody may be open. He'll deliver that ball. But I do not like the play call of just spreading out the offense, making it look like you're going to throw it, and then just try to do like a HB draw, whatever that was. And of course, it gets stuffed up because the offensive line isn't committed to run blocking. It's like a half and half. So Scott Turner, you got to do better with play calling overall, especially on 2-point conversions. You got to do better. You haven't been bad in the red zone, so I don't know why that doesn't just translate to 2-point conversions. It's basically the red zone. But overall, man, like my boy Smokes pointed out, most of the blame has to go to the defense playing bend but don't break defense. Which isn't bad, but it's just, again, how are we going to win games when our defense doesn't play as elite as they did against the Steelers and 49ers? Sometimes you're just going to have regular defensive games or good defensive games, just not elite like we've had. Do you expect Alex Smith or Dwayne Haskins to be able to step up in those games and still win you those games? Because they played bend but don't break, but they also gave up a long touchdown run. Also, shouts out to Smokes, because generally it was the defense not playing elite. It's hard to fault them for that, but I mean, if the expectation is to win playoff games with Alex Smith, the defense has to play elite. So if they're not playing elite, we have to fault them for that. So the defense didn't play elite. Hopkins is out here missing extra points. and you just can't turn the ball over twice as far as Dwayne Haskins goes. And then, of course, Scott Turner just has to be better, more consistent. I don't know what's going on with him. He showed us some potential those last few games. And then today, I don't know, I guess he just struggles with adapting around what Dwayne Haskins needs to succeed. Just run what Alex Smith runs. You saw Dwayne Haskins running in the fourth quarter, and it worked very well. The Seahawks literally could not stop us. Until the penalties happened, until the injuries happened to Morgan Moses. That's the only reason they stopped us from potentially scoring a touchdown to win the game right there. But just to let y'all know, Ron Rivera said that Alex Smith is the starting QB if he's healthy to go against the Panthers. But at the same time, Dwayne Haskins tweeted something like, "I'll see you next week," or something like that. Like he's going to start. They may know something that we don't, because again, like I said, it just seems like Alex Smith may never fully recover from his leg injuries. I think he's going to be even more limited than he normally is. I think a lot of y'all are not calculating now. I know a lot of y'all want to win playoff games and everything, and y'all think Alex Smith gives you the best chance, but I don't even think Alex Smith is going to be 100% of what Alex Smith was this year. Because remember, this year's Alex Smith is like 80% of 2018, 80% of Kansas City Alex Smith as far as mobility and all of that goes. And I mean, he's only getting older. So I'm not even sure if he's going to be 100% of that 80% coming back with after this most recent leg injury that was in the same leg. And a doctor pointed out that his calf muscle is already limited or is less of it or something like that because of the surgery he got to his leg with the catastrophic leg injury. So he suffered a calf strain that's probably because of that lack of calf muscle. And then now it's going to be harder for him to recover from it than just anybody else that gets a average calf strain, because it's different for him because of how his leg is set up. Who knows if Alex Smith is going to come back and be the guy you saw in the second half against the Lions, the guy you saw in the second half against the Steelers. I don't think a lot of y'all are planning for that. I don't think y'all understand that if our defense doesn't have an elite game like they had against the Steelers and 49ers, we more than likely will lose games unless we improve quarterback play. And right now, we already know where Alex Smith is limited. I feel like we just got to take our chances with Dwayne, because he's either going to be worse than Alex Smith or hopefully better. But at least you got to see, because you already know where Alex Smith is. With Alex Smith, you're dependent on our run game, our offensive line that some of y'all think is terrible. It's really not that bad. They just sold us at the end right there, the last drive of the game. You're dependent on all of them to basically play at an elite level for us to barely win games. And I personally don't feel like that's a winning formula in the playoffs. You might as well see what Dwayne Haskins has. If he's good, he takes you to the playoffs, potentially win you a game or two. You never know. Sky's the limit. If he's bad, then you know for sure that it's time to move on. Get a quarterback in the draft, potentially get one in free agency. Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, whoever you want. Personally, only reason I'm against getting a free agent quarterback or trading for one like that, unless it's Deshaun Watson, is because once you pay your quarterback big money, you don't have the money and the resources, the capital to pay other positions. We need an elite free safety. I think we need to go get like an Allen Robinson to help Terry McLaurin out. And once you bring over one of those super paid free agents, you can't do that. But I think this team is just a Deshaun Watson away from winning a Super Bowl this year. Honestly, Deshaun Watson's that great, but I'm not too sure if Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, and Matthew Stafford are that great. Once you pay them all that money, they're going to have to make do with what's already on the team unless Kyle Smith can work some more miracles in the draft with later picks and stuff like that, which is quite possible, but you know what I'm saying. All in all, man, who knows if Haskins can give you what he gave us in the fourth quarter consistently. Again, I don't think it's very likely, but I have to see, because I already know what we have in Alex Smith. And if our defense has even the slightest of an off game like they had today, if more injuries accumulate, if Chase Young just isn't definitive rookie of the year for a game, we lose that game, period. You're expecting all things to work if Alex Smith plays how he plays, maybe even worse than he's looked the past few weeks, because again, I think that injury may be worse than a lot of people think. But either way, even if we have to go that free agent route or trade for a veteran, whatever, I prefer that than to go into 2021 expecting to be Super Bowl contenders and win a Super Bowl with how this team is currently constructed at the quarterback position. Unless Dwayne Haskins shows me something, unless Alex Smith can just somehow prove to me that he's not what he's been this year, my preference is to draft somebody like a Trey Lance or a Zach Wilson. But a free agent quarterback can do it, because I honestly feel like, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. Even when we were 1-4, I told y'all that our team was not that bad. Our team is very talented. Everything just had to come together. Scott Turner had to become a better play caller, and we just needed better quarterback play. It's that simple. Kyle Allen and Alex Smith are limited, and Dwayne Haskins is very inconsistent, very inaccurate. Mechanics are still not sound. All of that has slightly improved, but it's still not good enough. And now y'all finally see what I'm saying, where we actually have a chance to win a Super Bowl in 2021. Everybody was doubting me when we were 1-4. I was like, bro, this is still looks like a Super Bowl potential team. We're just losing games because of specific things, and if we can fix those specific things, we're Super Bowl contenders. We fixed a lot of them. We just haven't fixed quarterback yet. But definitely make sure y'all get in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about everything. Do you want Alex Smith to start for the rest of the season, and why? And be honest, because, I mean, you may prove a point that may make me be like, okay, I'm wrong. I see it that way. I'm down for Alex Smith to start the rest of the season too. So let me know. If you want Dwayne Haskins to start for the rest of the season, let me know, because you may have a point that I forgot about or didn't talk about and didn't think about. Either way, definitely get in the comments. Let me know how you feel about this loss. How do you feel about this team's future this season? How you feel about this team's future later? Do you want to draft a quarterback? Do you want to trade up for a guy? Do you want to take one of those later guys? Me personally, I don't really want a Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, because, I mean, we're going to be right back here to not having a mobile quarterback. They're good throwers, but the NFL is changing, and I don't think those guys can excel to a certain extent. There's going to be a certain cap to how good they can be, and the league is moving the first down marker constantly. To be a good quarterback, to be an average quarterback, means to be better than what an average quarterback was 5 years ago. The marker keeps moving, and to bring in somebody that's not mobile, especially for a Scott Turner offense that clearly wants a mobile quarterback, but we just don't have one right now, just seems kind of pointless. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just wait to get a quarterback till next year if you don't take one on top of this draft. And again, a free agent quarterback, a veteran, will be nice, because I feel like you can win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford on this roster possibly. You may be able to win one with Matt Ryan. You'll definitely be able to win one with Deshaun Watson. Dak Prescott is also likely too. But after you do that, will we have enough money to pay other guys? But at least this culture is definitely good, to almost quote Bruce Allen. I feel like this team is going to be a great free agent destination. I feel like elite players are going to want to come and join this defense, join this run game, especially if you get a quarterback that people can believe in and that shows promise, a nice young quarterback that's a dual threat, mobile, strong arm, all of that. I feel like we will be a prime free agency destination, especially with our top cap space, and I feel like we should be an elite team next year. And I feel like with how much young talent is contributing and how cheap they are, I feel like this is a formula for long-term success. Again, I just feel like we need to fix quarterback. Again, get in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about all of that information. And as always, man, please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't. Please hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release a video like this. Every time I come out with my film sessions, you saw the Chase Young one I released yesterday, coming out with a Cameron Curl one versus the 49ers tomorrow. And again, the general public is getting a shorter version. If you're a channel member, you get the longer version of each of those film sessions with more plays, more analysis, and all of that type of stuff. Be on the lookout for that. And of course, shouts out to everybody that gives to the channel, everybody that donates, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, man. I really appreciate all my channel members, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. Again, I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch y'all later, man. I'm out.